This is the mic test. Is anybody there? Hello? Is anybody there? Testing, testing. One, two, three, testing. Signal. Is my signal reaching anyone? I guess the answer is no. Or there's nobody there. Either way, I'm still going to remain alive for a little bit. Just for my own fun, my own pleasure. I didn't expect this stream to really get any traction, anyways, because this is a substantial divergence from the nature of this channel. I'm honestly doing this more for me than I am for you guys. And I say this as a people pleaser, someone who wants to, you know, generally tries to please my audience, satisfy my audience. Having said that, I'm sure some hardcore fellow traveler fans are out there that are tuned in somewhere. Anyways. So, but yeah, there's a lot of things on my mind that I wanted to talk about, and I just wanted to chit chat with, I guess, someone about it. Didn't really feel like cracking open the Discord, but yeah. So I hope you all are having a lovely Sunday. And having said that, what you are witnessing right now is the thing that I've been doing nonstop for the last week and a half. I was practicing before that, but this is specifically for little art project I have going on right now. Want this? No, we want this. So yeah, what you're looking at right now is none other than a graphic novel that I'm working on. So I'll describe the story here in a little bit, but as you can tell, I'm a terrible artist. But that's okay, because I hope that someday, maybe someday soon, I can improve and actually draw something worth a fuck. But basically, I'm gonna open up another tablet, talk a little bit about the story. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got here? Yeah, we'll just open up page one. Where's page one? We'll do this in order. Fuck it. Let's see how much demand I can put on my CPU. Because these are some gigantic ass files I got going right now. Oh dear, Krita. I'm overloading Krita. There we go. So basically what you're seeing right now is the opening page. I'm still going to come back and work on this. I didn't really put a lot of detail into it, but basically the main character is having a nightmare right now in which he is being chased down in this dark labyrinth by these people. This is page one, and I'm going to close out page one and show you guys page two next. So open page two. And I'm keeping all these documents open just because I plan on recycling certain assets as I see fit throughout this journey. But yeah, I had to make a sacrifice, unfortunately. The reason why you're not seeing my ugly face is because I had to make a sacrifice. I only have so many USB ports, and my Huon drawing tablet takes up a USB port. All right, so this is a nightmare that main character, this guy right here, is having, in which he's being tailed by 9 riders on horseback and a little doggy. All their faces are obscured. I haven't got down or finalized any of the designs, which is part of the reason why I'm having this obscured. But I plan on putting more detail into it over time. But yeah, he's basically running away from them, and pow, 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 pointing at him. He's running. Close this out. It's a recurring nightmare, but he's going to wake up here in a page or two. So I'm going to close this out. And yeah, this is the page I'm working on. But I figure while I'm doing this, may as well have a little chit chat with you guys. So I'm just going to get back to what I'm doing right here, because this program has an ungodly amount of demand. It demands a lot from my computer, but I got a Huon tablet. Excuse me. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys. I'm gonna share this screen instead. Stop sharing. Present. Share the screen instead. And this is what I got. is this is the best $40 investment I have ever made in my entire life. Oh shit. I mean to do that. And so check this out. This got this on Amazon for about $40. Big whoop. And this is a professional grade drawing tablet. Like you can use this to make some really good I actually got it for sale. This one's like $60, but best money I've ever spent in my life. I've never spent money on anything or a device as handy as this. But I'm using this, and I'm using an open source program called Krita to perform the artwork or produce the artwork that you see before you. But yeah, if anyone here is into drawing, I highly recommend it. You can't beat this. Like, digital is really the way to go. You can do it the traditional method of like inking and painting if you really desire. And I like traditional inking and traditional coloring for comics and art in general. But I find so many advantages to switching to digital. It's not even funny. I highly recommend it if there are any artsy type folks out there. I say this as an artsy folk myself. I lost track of my sight and my goals many a times, but I finally found something that I really want to spend the rest of my life doing outside of running a YouTube channel. Give you guys some quality assurance that I have no intention of stopping the channel. Even if I've slowed down a bit, I have no intention of quitting. I'm still going to be producing YouTube videos when I'm in the mood and when I want to, but man, is it exhausting. It's just draining, you know? Like, making these videos talking about how absolutely shit the world is really, really, oh shit. It's just draining, you know? Like, because you got to do all this deep research, but that's not even the problem being the research. The problem is the fact that you're aware of how shit everything is. Like, it's one of those things where the main advantage of being a liberal is it's sort of like being plugged into the matrix. Like, you are not aware of how shit things really are. You might be to an extent, but you really don't know how fucked the system really is. You don't realize like that the whole damn thing just needs to be torn down and replaced. And people don't realize it. They think when they are aware of issues, they think in short term. They think of in terms of like reformism, or they don't think of the work that it really takes to actually change the world and how much effort it takes to actually like do anything like that. They don't realize how corrupt the system is, so they're sort of like blue-pilled, and they're able to just live their lives and be oblivious of how everything is really going to shit around them, you know? So being a communist can be kind of depressing sometimes, is all I'm trying to say. Like, the madness of the world, it's just disheartening, you know? But I'm glad I have you guys here, and I'm glad I have a platform and channel, you know, so I have something of a voice. Yeah, I've just been kind of periodically plugging out, so to speak. Like, I'm not completely checked out of the political game. By no means am I checked out of the game, and I have no intention of slowing down or stopping. That looks like ass. Yeah, whatever, fuck it. Yeah. So this is something I found, a nice little hobby in my spare time, and I'm planning on doing this, practicing a lot more. I've been doing this for hours. What I just showed you took me literally, I think, like 24 hours in Krita over the span of about 3 or 4 days. I'm unemployed again, as usual. I can't hold a job down to save my motherfucking life. Try not to let it wreak havoc on my self-esteem, but you know, it is what it is. It's, you know, trouble in paradise, so to speak. I have no clue what I'm going to do for work. I'm hoping that like I can strike out and get lucky and get a job doing something like this, you know. I'm hoping that, you know, I might just strike out and get lucky. But yeah. I think it's important to have hobbies. I think it's important for us to have other things, other pastimes not involved in the realm of politics, because even when you're not involved in politics, you can still be involved in a sense, as weird as that sounds. Whoop, didn't mean to do that. And then, ooh, yeah, this is looking good actually. I like the way this looks. Go back here. So, it's important for socialists to have hobbies. It's important that we're not just nerds that only talk about like direct politics, and it shouldn't be like a hobby in a sense. It's hard to describe, but yeah, like we should have. It's important to have other talents and interests outside of the realm, the direct realm of the political sphere. And so for you guys, it might be something else, but for me, it's Krita. Like I really, really dig this program, and I think that they have really revolutionized the world of art with a program like this. I could legit see myself making stupid money doing this someday. But anywho, let's see, layer, splash layer. Let's get fuck, I was on that layer the entire time. God damn it. You know what? We'll make it work. We'll make it work somehow. So, the hard part and the key is coloring. Do more for you, man, because this isn't worth it without your passion. Happy that you're going through this shit with what you love. Yeah. Hello everyone. It's good that you went with Huon because Wacom cannot be that beginner friendly and heavy on the pocket. Yeah, dude. I am a big believer in not wasting money. Like if I've always been of the philosophy and school of thought that you should spend as little money as possible with respect to whatever you produce and get the most bang for your buck that you can. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've seen some of these drawing tablets worth like literally tens of thousands of dollars. Like there are drawing tablets out there that are so expensive, like the ones where you can see the literally like instead of it being like a black tablet like mine, you instead draw, well, basically it's like a second computer screen and the art is directly beneath your fingers. That is not worth the money, dude. Like that is, it's just there's more moving parts, so there's more shit that can go wrong. It's too expensive, and I mean, really, they're a bitch to maintain, and they don't even last that long. This little Huon tablet, I've read reviews online that these things are good for literal decades, and it actually takes a while before they start to go bad on you. So yeah, um, and I believe in this philosophy in pretty much every aspect of life. God damn it, but like don't spend money you don't need to on frivolous bullshit. You know, I'm very much a minimalist in that regard. But yeah, drawing water is tricky, man. It's a tricky. I've never drawn water before, so it looks like ass. I mean, everything's gonna look like ass for a while, but I'm sure with time and effort, I'll eventually improve. But you know, I don't think it looks too bad. That's just saying. These are pools of blood that I would play in. Just so you know, this is going to be a pool of blood. I'm actually going to start drawing some body parts here in a minute. But I figure, start with the basics. Then I'll add the blood here in a minute. Just add the reflections in the water first. Make it look like real water, And then I'm going to start adding detail this little doggy here in a minute. But yeah, man, life has a habit of fucking you over. It has a habit of, well, fucking me over a lot. But it fucks you guys over too. If Chris Chan can make it with his weird Sonic parody, and anybody can, yeah, no, I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm that caliber. I'm way better than Chris Chan, but then again, I don't have the emotional intelligence of a 5-year-old. Chris Chan is a deeply deranged person, deeply deranged, deeply disturbed individual. People like that are just completely abandoned by the system. Nobody takes care of them. There's no one to take care of them. It's just sad. So, I mean, I ain't no Chris Chan, but by God, I got a lot of room for improvement. But enough about how much I suck at art. So basically, I got fired recently from my job, my new job, and it sucks. All right. So after getting fired, I was not gonna lie, I got very depressed for a little while. I was very depressed for a few days, almost a week actually. Like the day it happened, I was having thoughts of unaliving my boss and then unaliving myself immediately afterwards. I'm like, because he was a piece of shit, and it just completely violates your self worth when you struggle to provide for yourself, when you're struggling to survive, and you know you oops, and you're not able to keep a job down. It's just not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. Like, so I worked for Bose Rubber and Plastics. I went through a temp service to get a new job. I had gone through the temp service multiple times, and they were always they always struck out. They always got me good, or they treated me right. They got me work every time. But unfortunately, they'll fire you for nothing at these temp jobs, dude. Like when you get a job through a temp service, they will let you go for the dumbest reasons. Arbitrarily. You will get arbitrarily fired. And so after what just happened to me, I told my friends and family, I told all the liberals that I know in my personal life, all the anti-communists, all the conservative, basically the people that are ideologically aligned against socialist politics. I told every single one of them, I don't ever want to hear about oppression under communism ever again. I don't want to hear anything of it. I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to hear about oppression under communism ever again. I don't want to hear about how other countries are authoritarian ever again. I mean, even if they are, even if it's 100% true, they could be totally right about a country being a dictatorship. But I don't want to hear it after what just happened to me and what I've been going through this year. So while I was there, I got hired and I was the material handler. My job was to feed the assembly lines, to bring the material, the rubber, the plastic, and the metals that the assembly line operators needed in order to produce parts for automobiles. So that's what I was doing, and I quite liked my job, and I got quite good at it. I was driving a stand-up forklift, and I was getting to know my coworkers, even though they were all Spanish speakers, and I can't speak Spanish. And yeah, so I got acquainted with my boss, and they were already thinking about canning me just because I had never driven a forklift or a stand-up forklift before. I had never done it. It was something that I did not know to do. And fortunately, they were willing to give me a shot, and they gave me a shot. But and after about I think 2-3 weeks, I actually got pretty good at it. I got pretty good at it. I was doing my job. I was doing a fine job. I was doing it right. I was doing it good. And yeah, slowly but surely, I was gaining the respect and yeah, the respect and adoration of my coworkers. Even my manager was starting to respect me. I mean, I don't think he respected me from the get at all. I don't think he liked me from the get. But yeah, point is I got good at my job. So after a couple months there, things are looking up. It looks like I'm going to get hired. I've done everything in my power to hold this job. I've done everything they've asked and so much more. I've been to work on time. I'm like never late. I mean, we had a talk. I mean, he immediately threatened to fire me the one time that I took a long break or a long lunch. And it's funny because he didn't talk to me about it when I took the long break. He confronted me. He specifically waited until I took another long break to confront me and talk to me about it. And he threatened to fire me, yada yada, said that I'm easily replaceable and that they could bring in a new material handler at any time. And he loved to do that. He loved to hold that over my head. Whenever I did anything that he didn't like or feel tenable, he immediately threatened to fire me. He loved to do that. So I was on my best behavior. I basically had to correct every mistake I made inside the same week span or day span that I made the mistake. So I basically couldn't make the same mistake twice here. So I'm on my best behavior. I've done everything in my power, including violating probation, because now I have a DUI on my record, and I wasn't able to go to the driver intervention program as an alternative to jail after paying for it and telling my manager a week or two ahead of time that I was contractually, well, not legally bound. I had to do this program. It wasn't a choice. But he gave me the ultimatum, like either I show up and work the 2 days I had to take off in order to do the program, or I go to the program and he fires me. Well, I haven't had steady employment all year. So I'm thinking to myself, I got to keep this job no matter what. Even if I breach probation, I need to keep this job. You know, like I have to. I have no choice. Was my mindset. So I violated probation and I didn't go to the intervention program, and so now I have court on the 31st. I wasn't even thinking about that at the time, but basically, I'm gonna have to go pay a $125 rescheduling fee so that I can do this program that I've already spent $400 on, in addition to like the $1,000 in legal fees and bills that I had to pay. So like my bank account was utterly obliterated. Excuse me, my bank account was wiped out. It was utterly obliterated by legal fees, and I was willing to do whatever it takes to keep this job. I did. I did my best. I was on my best behavior, but I had a little slip up, and the one little slip up, and it completely backfired. I mean, it totally backfired. Like, and I'll explain it here in a sec. The age-old advice: learn a trade. I've heard that one before. Has had the worst luck with employment. Honestly, he's such a solid example of the workers. Yeah, dude, I haven't had steady employment in years. But yeah, so fast forward a few months later, I've done everything he's ever asked and so much more. Whenever they've brought up anything, like a mistake or something they don't like, I've corrected it. Whenever, except one thing. There was one little instance, in which I slipped up. So they have a rule against earbuds on the factory floor. And admittedly, they had told me about the rule. And so, yeah, they've told me a couple times before this fuck up that I'm not allowed to have earbuds on the factory floor. That's what they said to me. So what happened was, I basically broke the rule. I would sneak an earbud in. I have very long hair, so it's not hard for me to, wear an earbud anyways, and for my manager just to not notice. So yeah, that's what I did. I wore an earbud on the floor. Well, one day my manager, the same asshole who loved to threaten to fire me, same asshole who wouldn't let me go to fucking court or attend the court mandated intervention program and held my job over my head and had repeatedly held my job over and just had a shitty demeanor. He treated me like shit. I was treated like complete ass the entire time I was there. There was no appreciation for the work I did. And a lot of these companies say, "Oh, we're like a family." We're like a family. And yeah, until you get slightly inconvenienced by your employee, your quote unquote contractor, I mean, and they just fire you regardless. So he caught me with an earbud. He caught me with an earbud one day. Basically, I saw him walking towards me. He wanted something, and I tried to move my head and sneakily take the earbud out. But he noticed, and he confronted me about it, and he yelled at me. He threatened to fire me right then and there. Same damn thing he did every other day. And he told me if he caught me with an earbud again, that he would walk me out of the building. And so I pleaded with him. I explained, dude, I've done everything you've asked. I've worked overtime on 24 hours notice. I've worked overtime literally like on 2 hours notice. And, I've on days where I have shit that I need to do and I really shouldn't be working overtime. I worked overtime regardless because I was desperate to keep the job. I was a good worker, hard worker. I was really good at the job. So good, in fact, that he wasn't even able to replace me the one time he tried. I'll tell you guys about that in a second. I did everything I was told and asked. I was reliable, dependable. I was everything a good employee was. And I pleaded with him, dude, I'm on this forklift for 40 to 50 hours a week. I'm subjected to factory ambience all day long. I'm in a loud ass factory. All my coworkers are Spanish speakers, so it's not like I can have meaningful conversation with them because of the language barrier. And And on top of that, like there's like little to no stimulus that I'm being subjected to outside of factory ambience. And I have ADHD. I get bored easily. I get bored quickly. It's actually debilitating sometimes. But so I explain this to him and I'm like, please, I know you've overlooked this shit for others. And I know you've overlooked it in the past. And I know you've covered for me. That one time I got in an accident, you covered for me. I know you could overlook this. If you could just please, like, just let me keep the earbud in. I promise it won't be an issue. I've done everything you want and so much more. Just let me keep the earbud in and let me work, and we'll all be good. You don't have to fucking fire me over this. Is basically what I told him. And you want to know what he said in response? He said that, oh, it doesn't matter how good of a worker you are. It doesn't matter. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to show up and be 100% every day. Like, that's what's expected of you. And I'm not going to make an exception for you. And he told me that, you know, who cares if it's boring? You don't go to work to have fun. You go to work to work. You know, if you're bored, then leave. You know, if this place bores you, then walk out the door, leave if it's that bad, basically. And I'm like, you got to be joking. And he yells at me and he gets mad at me. And so at that point, I get fed up with the way I was being treated because I felt completely used and underappreciated. And so what happened was that same evening, I was still at work. And what happened was I threw my hood up. Basically, I'm like, you know what? The sun's going down. It's getting cold. So you know what? I'm pretty sure he can't fire me for this. So I threw my hood up and I'm like, I know for a fact he's going to get suspicious and he's going to demand that I put the hood down because he's done it in the past. Like the first time he caught me with an earbud, he saw me on the floor with a beanie on and this was near the end of summer. And he was telling me that, you know, it's too hot to be wearing a beanie. Take the beanie off. And I did. I showed him my ears. I showed him I did not have an earbud in. And he's like, good, keep it that way. Well, he was suspecting that I was trying to hide an earbud. So what he did was demand I take the hood off, like multiple times. And each and every time I'm like, no. And the reason why I say no is just because I'm fed up with the way I'm getting treated. And I don't think I'm getting dealt a fair hand while at the job. And so he demands that I do it again. And he insists that I do it or he's going to send me home. And that's what he does. He sends me home. And after saying multiple times, he's like, you have an earbud in, don't you? And I tell him, no, sir, I don't have an earbud in. Well, yeah, he still demands that I take it off. And well, what ends up happening is he sends me home after, you know, saying 5 or 6 times that I need to take the hood off. And so I'm like, okay. And what I do is I take my hood off. I show him both my ears and I tell him, see, no earbud. I wasn't lying. I was telling the truth. I've got no earbud in my ears. And I told him, so what's it going to be, man? Am I still going home or can I get back to work? Like, what do you want from me? Like, am I still going home? Am I still clocking out? Like, what do you want? No earbud. As you can see, I do not have an earbud in. I took it out. And after that, he tells me to go home anyways, even though I did exactly what he told me to do. I just did it with some attitude. I literally told him I did exactly after he demanded that I take the hood off, and I take the hood off, you know, but this is after he tells me to go clock out and go home. And so I take the hood off, I show him my ears. I'm like, see, no earbud. So what's it going to be? Am I still going home? Is that it? And he's like, yeah, go home. I'm like, okay. And I decide, you know what? I'm going to take this up with HR. I am not going to put up with this bullshit any longer. I need to get this dude off my ass because just the way I'm being treated is not fair at all. So the following day, I go into work. And I go in, I talk to the HR lady about it, and she tells me the only thing she can do is talk to him and try to like plead with him to ease off. And my coworkers agreed. Like I said, I earned the respect of my coworkers. They vouched for me. They actually got me back into the building after he tried to send me away and replace me, and they had my back. You know, they were good to me. I had good coworkers. You know, they were Kentucky hick conservative idiots, but they're not really bad people at heart. Even if they're, the kind of idiots, but they were fellow workers, so they had my best interest at heart because they enjoyed working with me and they enjoyed my contributions to the operation, and they appreciated me even though he didn't. And so they even said I did this on their recommendation that I talked to HR. That was my plan. Keep my hood up, and then when he makes a big deal out of it, I take my hood down, make him look like a fucking idiot in front of my coworkers, and then talk to HR about it tomorrow. So I go in, talk to the HR lady. I'm completely demoralized because I find out there's no possible way that I can really meaningfully hold him accountable. And I'm like, so I'm just going to have to like suffer with no earbud for now on, even though it doesn't impede my work, it doesn't get in the way of anything. It's like just the minorest thing. Like, if I'm going to be on a forklift all day driving around, you can at least let me have some music. You can let me have this one thing, just please. And that's what I pleaded to the HR lady. And, she was sympathetic. She was all sad looking. She sympathized with my plight. And she said she'd try to talk to him. Well, I walk into the break room and I get ready for our regular Friday work meeting. And he walks in the door, the manager, and he sees me and he says, "What are you doing here? You don't work here anymore." I'm like, "What?" The pussy didn't even fucking tell me I was fired to my face. He just sent me home. I thought, because managers have done that in the past. Like, they'll just send me home for the day. And I'm like, okay, I'll just be back in tomorrow. And so that's exactly what happened. And so I learned that I was fired. I drove up there for nothing. And I had no recourse. I was talking to the other HR guy, because there were two HR people. One of them was his fucking butt munch and just backed him up on everything. And he was there explaining, it was a liability. And I'm like, dude, I literally did what he said, though. I took the earbud out and I took the hood off to show him I didn't have an earbud. What am I being fired for? And he tells me that it isn't just the earbud, it's everything. I'm like, what do you mean everything? He's like, taking long breaks, yada, yada. I'm like, dude, I literally stopped doing that the second my manager threatened to fire me. Like, what the fuck? Like, literally that same day, I didn't take late breaks or long breaks anymore. So, and he's like, well, it's also everything else. We gave you a shot and it just didn't work out. I'm like, dude, I learned the forklift. I did everything you asked and demanded of me and more. So, and then he's like, yeah, well, the earbud thing, it's just a liability, we can't have that kind of liability. Like, they were willing to overlook me getting in a forklift accident and fucking bumping into a machine and fucking up the cabling and wiring around this machine. They were willing to overlook that and like a couple other bumps that I had, when it would normally be expected that I go take a drug test. And be honest with you guys, I would have been fucked if they made me take a drug test. But he was willing to cover for me when I had those accidents, but he wasn't willing to like cover for me on the earbud thing, even despite the fact that the other two managers, because there was a first and third shift managers, they didn't give a shit about it. I literally walked around them with an earbud in and they didn't say a thing. They even go on the floor with earbuds, even though I've seen other people on other shifts and even on our shift wearing earbuds on the floor, even though like it doesn't impede my job at all, even though it's like ain't nothing but a thing. It's just something I use to get me through the working day. They fire me. I put in all that hard work. I am now risking jail time and I'm now risking the stress of my court situation for a job that I got fired from anyways. I done goofed. I done fucked myself off with that mistake. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say, but that's basically the gist of what happened. And I got done real dirty. I mean, I'm planning on finding a new job by like next week. I hit up this textile factory and I hit up a couple warehouses on the same street. And fortunately, I've been messaged back, so I got another giant job lined up soon. And so, thankfully, there's that. So, I'm not totally fucked, but, well, not yet. But yeah, dude, I did literally everything they asked and so much more. I worked so hard for them. I worked overtime when I really didn't need to. I worked hours when I really shouldn't have. And yeah, so that's the situation I'm in now. It's really fucked up. Like, I truly believe that guy did not like me. I really do. I think a big part of it just came down to him just not liking me for whatever reason. You know, I'm not going to get all racial in here. I don't mean to get all racial, but he was a big Hispanic guy with tattoos. And he had 90% of the people that worked there were like Guatemalan, Puerto Rican, Latin Americans. Like, many of them were like indigenous. They were just short, you know, tanned, couldn't speak a lick of English outside of, full box and like other stuff. And even though like I couldn't have straight conversations with them, I was getting along with them good. Like, we would joke with one another. I was starting to learn some Spanish. And I'm like, I finally have a home. I finally have a place that I can belong and actually work. And I can actually have employment. Like, fucking finally, dude. I might have gotten fucked over by my last few, well, all of my jobs, but at least I've got this going for me. Nope, I don't even have this going for me. Nope, you lose your job, no more job again. You just got to stay broke, motherfucker. So yeah, like I knew from the get that he did not like me because he was very hard on me, very judgmental of me. I guess he just saw like a white guy with long hair, and I don't know what it was, but he just wasn't a fan of me. I don't know what it was or what I was doing. He had the nerve to accuse me of being disrespectful when he constantly held my job over my head, tried to replace me, even when he didn't have a valid reason to hire another material handler on our shift and try to replace me. He tried to replace me. He brought in this Guatemalan guy. I mean, at least he knew English, but he wasn't worth the fuck. He just wasn't cut out for the job. Like, the other guy they brought in sucked, and he sent me to the other factory. And after 2 weeks of having a shit material handler that basically couldn't do the job, that's when my coworkers vouched for me to bring me back to the other plant. And that's when he ended up quitting or getting let go. He brought in 3 people trying to replace me. He brought in 3 dudes, not one, not two, but 3 people on second shift to try and replace me, and they all left. None of them stuck around. They all quit. After about a week or two, he quit. So I'm just telling you guys right now, I was made to do that shit, man. I got good at it and everything. I was dependable, reliable. I was taking pride in my work. I was starting to bond with my coworkers. I'm sort of like, oh, finally, maybe I can dig myself out of the hole I'm in right now. And nope, I just got fired anyways. But hey, that's life. That's life. That all you can do is keep moving forward. When life serves you a shit sandwich, you know, you gotta fucking roll with it. Just gotta swallow that shit sandwich, get it over with, and move on. Take what pleasure you can, where you can, and just try to survive. So yeah, that's that's the synopsis of what just happened. I mean, I'm not completely over it. I'm still very bummed out that I lost yet another job, but hey, you know, it was fun while it lasted. Color this in. So I'm gonna read some comments now. Damn, it's a lot of comments. Bro, you're a solid worker. If you can't make it, honestly, this system doesn't work. So yeah, dude, I've worked my ass off for so many of these companies, and like just for them to just discard me. I'm trying not to let it affect my mental health or self-esteem, but it's affected my mental health and self-esteem, despite my best efforts to not take it personal and not worry. Um, yeah, even we, the first world privileged workers, are honest and honestly more and more precarious now that the USSR was defeated. Yeah, I mean, welcome to welcome to the timeline when the bad guys won. That's where we're living. Like, I should not have lost my job over that. Like, that was absurd, and pretty much everyone on the floor, everyone agreed with me. Like, they agreed it was absurd, and they vouched for me. I'm like, after all the work I've done, after all that, you know and then unfortunately it's more common than you think. These companies will let you go for no freaking reason, even when I haven't violated the contract. Even when I have followed company policy to a T, I end up in a situation where they just let me go anyways because, whoa, well, we don't want to renew your contract. No job for you. Haha, go fuck yourself. You know? So I'm not one to give advice about this, but do not take it personal if you're in a similar situation. Remember that these jobs, these companies are just ruthless private corporations. And honestly, my right wing coworkers were telling me that, I don't really want to work here anyways because they were describing how the benefits were gone, how everything was getting worse, how they had worked there for years and they weren't getting any raises anymore. Like they're supposed to get like an annual raise, but the maintenance guy hadn't received a raise in 3 years, and like all they do is hire like shady, the shade not shady people under the table, but you know what I mean. Um, just illegal immigrants. Like that place was full of mostly Hispanic people. Again, not trying to make this about race. But I noticed that they had a distinct favoritism towards Latin Americans, and I think there's a reason for that because they're all illegals. Because they're all migrants. If they get together to try and unionize and improve their conditions, then there's a chance that ICE gets called and they get thrown out of the country. So don't kid yourself. That's the real reason why ICE exists. It is to terrorize migrant workers and depress wages. So it's a lose-lose situation for us all. Genuinely, I think the U.S. right now is basically the Russian Empire 1890s. Oh, we're getting there, all right. We're getting there. Give it another decade or two. We're well on the way. But the stakes are even higher because climate change. I don't know about you guys, but this October has been unreasonably toasty. Like, there's no reason why it should be 85 fucking degrees in October. And everyone just goes on with their lives. Nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Like, oh, who cares, If it doesn't affect me, then I don't care. So many people are that toxic mindset. Oh, it doesn't affect me, therefore it doesn't exist, or it's not my problem, But that's the good old American, good old me mindset. But yeah, one thing I noticed though was even amongst right wing workers, some of them are like hyper reactionary, but even amongst more reactionary ones, because like I said, my the maintenance guy that worked there, he was definitely more on the reactionary side. He was pretty openly racist. He made race jokes. He's like, man, why do they hire all these illegals? He sees the problem's fucked up, but he thinks the problem is the illegals, not the corporations like that are racing to the bottom to fuck everybody over. And I was starting to explain this stuff to him, and he was getting it. So like, don't kid yourself when I say you can meaningfully get even some right wingers on your side whenever you're trying to organize, because even no matter, regardless of whether or not they're right wing, their material interests coincide with yours as working people. So just keep that in mind whenever you're going about doing socialist organizing or socialist work. Just remember that even amongst people who strongly disagree with you, there are alliances of convenience that it can be attained within the short term. Not saying they'll be your friends forever, but you can definitely get right-wingers on your side within certain contexts. And within my context, if I had tried to unionize there, it would have guarantee you that right-wing guy would have been on board with it. So, moral of the story, even when people are right-wing or their heads are full of bullshit, as is often the case, fuck, where's the fucking blood? Sorry, guys, I'm looking for a lair right now. Wherever it is. Oh, here we go. Please be the lair. No, motherfucker. Ugh, there's like a million goddamn layers. I have no idea where it's at. I just want to erase this. I guess I gotta go one at a time. Boom. 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 Come on, where the fuck is it? So just remember that. I'm gonna read. I swear to God, give me like one quick little second. I need to find this layer. This is bothering me a lot. This is. Oh, there it is. Thank God. Okay. I need to merge some of these layers, man. Let me erase you, motherfucker. There we go. Let me erase you, bitch. God damn. This is bothering me a lot. Fuck it. I'll just draw all over it. Why not? So yeah, I hope that's a decent takeaway. Like if there's any takeaway, even amongst the right wing, it is possible to do a degree of organizing with them, even if they don't agree with you. All right, but anywho, more comments. Sounds like the pettiest of petty tyrants. Oh, hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Like, that's such petty shit. Like, apparently that was his first management position, too. So he's, like, in his 50s. And this is the first time he's ever been a manager. And he's one of these... He's a pickup driver, too. Like, just to add icing to the cake. He's one of those dickheads. Drives a gigantic-ass pickup truck with... It has no business, no reason whatsoever to be driving a pickup truck. But he's just driving it anyways. He's one of those dickheads. Gotta love those fuckers. Yeah, but no, I've in my life, pickup drivers are the worst people half the time. They are responsible for my car accident and fucking me over in various contexts and situations. But yeah, nah, he was a dickhead. And I did not get treated fairly at all. We're gonna bring back a little dark blue. Nah, fuck that. Make it dark gray. So yeah, so fucking true. These bastards expect the world, and when you provide the world, they complain about how you struggled. Then, of course, fire you, especially if you're part of a job agency. Oh yeah, dude, they let go of temps like nothing. That's a big issue with temp services. I mean, yeah, they'll find you a job, but there's a good chance you're not going to keep it. Either they don't renew your contract or they do renew your contract, and but then they just fuck you like later down the road. Like all these places have turnover like it's nothing, and it's that way by design. Like, don't kid yourself. And I understand this. It's by design. It's like that on purpose. Like high turnover benefits the capitalist class because the longer your employees are with your company, the more likely they are to get fed up with conditions and try to organize and unionize. And that's bad for business, you know? Like, capitalists can't be having that. And so they do everything in their power to let people go and drive up turnover as much as humanly possible. Like, companies like Amazon will routinely complain about, or not complain, but brag about how many people they hire. We hire millions of people. We've created millions of jobs. But then they conveniently leave out the part where they also fire millions of people and they cut down millions of jobs per year. I mean, I worked for Amazon once and that shit fucking sucked. They wouldn't let you bring your phone or an earbud in the building at all. I actually had to sneak my shit in. You know, I had to sneak my shit into FedEx. Like, it's not even a big deal though. Like, at least with the forklift situation, you have the excuse of, oh, well, it's a distraction. You need to be focused on the forklift at all times. Okay, fair. But I was not operating heavy machinery at fucking Amazon or FedEx. I was working inside a trailer, unloading trailers all day. Like, it's not a bad thing. It's not a distraction. These companies they just need an excuse to fuck you over. It's the same reason why they do drug testing. Like, the whole purpose of drug testing, the whole purpose of all these rules, it's all for the explicit purpose of conveniently firing people that you want to get rid of. That's all it is. That's all it's ever been. And managers will do this. Like, and this is why I say, like, the rules as we know it are bullshit. They're arbitrarily enforced based on the best interests of the people enforcing them. Like, guarantee you, like, if I was this, Hispanic guy and I got on Juan's good side good enough, that's his name. I didn't mean to, I mean, not that it matters. Oh, I doxed my manager. Huh? Like, if I'm just saying, if I had gotten on his decent side and I was just some Hispanic dude, you know, from a Spanish speaking Latin American country, I can almost guarantee that he would have been more patient and willing to overlook the earbud thing. I can pretty much guarantee it. And, like I said, not trying to come off as racist, but that's the truth. Like that guy, I mean, racism, I understand systemic racism mostly affects like non-white people, and that white people are generally the ones doing the racism, and that people of color are the ones getting fucked over the most by racism at a systemic level. That being said, at an individual level, racism exists and goes in all directions, uh, even if it's not on an institutionalized level. Um, and I think that guy was prejudiced. I don't know. I just do not feel like I was treated right. He probably didn't care about the rules. He just wanted an excuse. Yeah, he was trying to let me go. How can you tell the court about your threat to be fired? Can you tell the court about how I did? Yeah, I went to the court and I filed a motion to have my driving privileges amended and to go to the intervention program in November instead of October, because the intervention program, they're more than happy to have me in November rather than when I was initially scheduled in October. But they denied the motion, and so now I just got to go to a courtroom and deal with it. I don't know what they're going to say. I don't know what I'm going to tell the judge. But yeah, like, oh, sorry, judge. I was under the threat of being fired. I wasn't able to go to the intervention program. And I ended up getting fired anyways. Like, what am I going to I honestly don't know what I'm going to tell the judge. I'm probably just going to tell the truth. My public defender says that, like, it's a first offense and it's very minor. So there's a very high probability that they'll let you reschedule, and they'll probably just make you do community service or make you pay some other fine or some shit. But that's the worst case scenario, is they give you community service, is what he told me. Nah, fuck that. I'm going to make this thicker. All right. So yeah, that's just my life. The fucked up part is about my DUI is I got it when working overtime. Like, I got sentenced to overtime last minute and I was working a 12. I was working back to back 12-hour shifts. Like, my manager literally doesn't even ask me because it was optional, but he didn't talk to me or present it to me like it was an option. He just walks up to me and says, "You're working 12 hours today." I'm like, "Okay." "You're working 12 hours tomorrow." "Okay." "You're working 12 hours Saturday." I'm like, "All right." That sucks. And this was on the same day I had to take my girlfriend to the airport for a vacation she had planned for years now. I was supposed to take her to the airport, and I'm like, fuck. So I'm doing this at 4 in the morning. I'm getting off at 2 in the morning, and it's like an hour and a half drive to and from the airport. So by the time and I'm working 10, I'm working another 12. So by the time I finally get some sleep, I'm probably only going to get a few hours of sleep. So my mindset at the time is, fuck it. If I'm about to be sleep deprived, and I'm going to be driving for the next 3 hours, working back to back 12s, it's better to do it high. That was my mindset. So I shotgunned a few beers the last hour or two at the end of my shift, just purely out of boredom. Shotgun a few beers, and then I hit the freeway, and I'm trying to get to my girl's place as fast as humanly possible. And I get stopped at like 3 in the morning by a cop. Basically, I was going 100 miles an hour, just out of my own pleasure and enjoyment, because I was relatively pissed up. And I mean, I wasn't that pissed up, but I was definitely feeling good. And the cop stops me, pulls me over, gives me a sobriety test. And he breathalyzes me, and I'm like just over the legal limit. Not by much, but by just enough. Because I think 0.08 is the legal limit. I was like breathalyzed at like point oh, yeah, no, it's 0.08. point 0.008. So I think I was at like 0.012, 0.013. Point is I had a few beers worth of alcohol in my system, and that was enough for them to arrest me and take me to the police station. I end up having to be picked up, and I get my driver's license suspended, and I still have to drive to and from work at my job. So like if I get pulled over, I'm fucked. And I basically can't go anywhere. I have to Uber or catch rides or just drive illegally and risk getting thrown in jail. And yeah, after all those fees were done and over with, I saw the intervention program that the court had me do was because they went easy on me. My public defender, good man, he got me off the hook for the speeding ticket, and he was able to negotiate an alternative to jail. So it's the intervention program. I was going to do it last month, except El Duce, or El Duce, my manager, threatened to fire me. So under the fear of getting fired, I didn't go, just for him to let me go a few weeks later. Go figure. And so yeah, that's what I'm dealing with right now. The system really is rigged against you, man. Like I just remember thinking, and I'm looking there, I'm about to pay 400 and some odd dollars to go to this state mandated driver intervention program. And I'm thinking in my head, maybe I should just go to jail. I'd kind of rather just go to jail. But yeah, my friends, my family, everyone insisted that I do the program. I'm like, is anyone going to help me pay for it? And credit to my family, they get the money together to help me pay for it. So now I just got to do that. And then, I got to go a year without driving. Realistically, in America, that's impossible. Really, I got to go a year without getting pulled over again. And I'll be able to get my license back. I'll be able to get the DUI expunged. I am never doing that again. That was stupid. But yeah, I done fucked myself off with that mistake. Yeah, I've noticed it's getting much cold, man. I'm behind as fuck on comments. Yeah, no, it's hot as shit. That or us becoming Nazi Germany. FT has it right on. We are legit living in a bad timeline. Yeah, we're in the timeline where the bad guys. The meatpacking industry is notorious for hiring undocumented migrants, so they have laws that ban you from filming slaughterhouses because then people will be upset and start considering. Oh yeah, no. If people will see what's going on in slaughterhouses, they'll see how the sausage is made, and I'm willing to bet a lot of people would go vegetarian or vegan over that. But I definitely think there would be a lot of public outcry for more humane treatment of animals. I mean, really, I think lab grown meat or factory farm meat or lab grown meat is definitely the superior alternative. I think that that's the future. But the number one opponents of it, though, is the meat and dairy industry as it is now. They are actively getting in the way of, improvements in the forces of production that would allow lab grown meat to be possible. Like they've literally lobbied to put laws on record so that lab grown meat can't be reach consumer markets, so that it can't be sold. They've literally changed the definition of meat legally so that lab grown meat doesn't count as meat. And I think lab grown meat would really be the way to go. And I think there'd be a much bigger push for it if the public was aware of just how utterly inhumane and fucked up factory farming is. That or a bunch of people go vegan. Thing is that a lot of the public already does know about it. They just don't care. Like, people are aware of how fucked shit is, and they don't care. They don't have time to care. They're too busy paying bills and trying to, live their lives. And that's the unfortunate truth of the situation. Generally, union members are not racist. I mean, yeah, racist unions exist, but it's more historically they exist. But yeah. So name your layers, but yeah. I mean, I've named some of them. But yeah, man, I done fucked myself off with that mistake. Meat companies get rewarded as they break union order. Oh, fuck yeah. Like, all of these industries are like that, man. Manufacturing is like super exploitative, super exploitative. Like, you're going to find a lot of undocumented migrant workers in workplaces such as that one. Beautiful, sexy, sexiness. All right, I think I'm going to show you guys the other panels and weave the narrative. So basically, during his nightmare, the main character's name is Tiburus Augustine Nikolas, not Nicholas, Nikolas, and he has a recurring nightmare. It's not really recurring, but he's having a nightmare in which 9 former coworkers that were part of this deeply evil and corrupt institution that he used to work for are basically hunting him down. And he literally is being hunted down. This is foreshadowing. These people are real. They have a lieutenant, a major lieutenant with them in the form of this guy, the sorceress, this dude, the Nameless Scourge, whose body has been infected and taken over by a symbiotic creature, and now gives him. It has basically created carapace armor around his body to protect him. He literally grows ammunition from his flesh to shoot at people. And he's got like these tentacles grown out of his back. It's pretty rad. So in the dream, they're hunting him down, and they all know him. These are all former coworkers. They all know him. Even the dog knows him. And it's going to be a plot point later that the doggy hesitates and doesn't actually try to because they do end up almost catching him one time, and the doggy doesn't go for the kill or doesn't sick him because the doggy knows him and still likes him and is still, empathic towards him. And so what they do when they realize this is put the dog down and get a new one that's way more vicious and ferocious. It's a different dog. It's not this one. Oh, my bad. So he's getting shot at, and he's running for his life. He just had a fireball hurled at him. Arrows are flying around and about, and he gets shot in the shoulder, and he gets shot in the ass cheek. And in the next panel, down, he casually plucks the arrow from his ass cheek and proceeds to impale the dog with it, and then toss the dog away. And that's the panel. In the next page, there's going to be one more page of the nightmare sequence after this, in which he gets caught and cut down by the 9 riders. And then right after that, he wakes up and, out of the dream world, he's awake now. And it was just a nightmare, a terrible nightmare. But he is being followed. These 9 people are all real, and they're all actually following him. And the reason why they're hunting him down is because he's a traitor. To put it short, he was abducted by a very wicked institution from a young age, which took particular interest in him as he was basically like a bandit king. He was a gang member, and he was a leader of a gang he became the leader of a gang at a very young age, and he amassed a huge bounty for himself and became notorious for, his gang and their heists and their exploits, kind of like a Robin Hood type figure, stealing from the rich and giving to the needy. But basically, he has traitors within the gang, and they want to take over. So what they do is they sell him out to the Black Order. That's the name of this institution. And basically, he's given an ultimatum where he can either join the institution, get trained by them, and do missions for them, and he'll be forgiven for his transgressions by the state or the Dominion of Nosgard, or he refuses, and no such forgiveness is granted to him. He's not pardoned, and he gets executed. So it's literally, it's like the CIA came and gave you the choice between taking their job or dying. So they captured him and offered him a job. He does a series of missions for him. And the truth about the Black Order is the reason why they take a special interest in Tiburus is precisely because of his exploits and his success leading a gang. They're like, we could use him. He's relatively young. He's very young. We could groom him, bring him up, and we could, because there's a 5th column inside the leadership of the Black Knights. It's all very political. And this 5th column sees the leader as a complete Nepo baby who's been driving the institution to the ground for years now. And so this 5th column who wants to preserve the order and restore it to its former glory, see this guy right here as a good replacement. They see him wise beyond his years, a natural born leader of men. He's not part of any nobility, He's not like a royal bloodline, so he's, healthy, he's got good genetics, he's not inbred like a lot of the incompetent nobility within the lumbering bureaucracy of the oligarchy. And because inbreeding is very common, this is like a feudalist type system, combination of feudalism and early mercantile capitalism. It's pre-industrial though, fantasy setting. And so basically they see a guy who's a capable, competent leader, but young enough to be controlled by the fifth column, and who will serve and who they can rein in effectively, and who will serve the best interests of this group of Black Knight lieutenants. And he does missions for them, and gets acquainted with the Emperor of the Dominion, and he stands to gain everything. He stands to literally gain everything completing these missions. However, over the course of these missions, he partakes in and bears witness to a series of atrocities and war crimes and crimes against humanity. As the Black Knights are above the law, they are a wicked institution that are pardoned for all their transgressions that they take towards anyone and everybody else. And by the power invested in the Emperor, they are forgiven for their transgressions. They can literally do nothing as long as they serve the particular interests of the Emperor and his tribunal of oligarchs. As long as they serve the interests of the oligarchs and stay loyal, they get a pass to do whatever they want, basically. Publicly, their crimes are not well known to the civilian populace of Nosgard. Publicly, their crimes are generally kept on the down low, and officials tend to take a blind eye out of fear and intimidation. Anyone who speaks out against them is either killed mysteriously or intimidated into silence somehow, if they're noisy enough. But their crimes are notoriously well known across the world. Like you mentioned the Black Knights, and people from neighboring countries who have been invaded and attacked will have a clear as day memory of the atrocities and the days that their towns and their homes were sacked by roving bands of Black Knight marauders. And so, but they're the elite of the elite. They're an institution that are the best of the best. They are a small institution that's a small army of about 5,000 to 6,000 individual knights. They are the guys who are called in when all else fails. When the normal military can't get the job done, and when other orders are not able to get the job done, they're the fools that are called in to clean up shop. So basically, if you're just a 17-year-old conscript, conscripted in this war, and the Black Knights arrive, your commanding officer is going to be like, "Oh, thank God, we're saved! Hurrah, we're saved!" We've got the elite of the elite here to finish the job for us. And when the Black Knights arrive, they'll give plenty of assurance to the locals, like the local soldiers, that we're here to save the day. Just do us a favor, look the other way, take a blind eye, and don't look too deeply into our activities, is what they would be told. And yeah, we got you covered. So he's with them for about 6 years, and because of the things he bears witness to, because he's what he's involved in, he develops post-traumatic stress disorder. He's shell-shocked. He has PTSD, and it's a lingering problem throughout the story. There's a breaking point, however, in which he betrays the institution and goes rogue. And it was when he was maneuvered in position, because he had infiltrated the military of a country that they were at war with, and he was maneuvered into a political position where he could have betrayed them at the siege and basically handed the battle over to the forces of Nosgard on a silver platter. Basically, they were going to commit genocide. They were going to kill literally everybody and wipe this country off the face of the map for daring to rise up and basically overthrow the vassal or the comprador governments that controlled them. So it was a national liberation movement, basically, in which they kick out the colonizers, take their country back. and the emperor wants to make an example out of them, like specifically them. And Tiber was put in a position where all he had to do was help them commit genocide, basically, and he would, he would gain everything. He would, have intergenerational wealth. He would join, have his blood legitimized. He'd become a full-fledged member of nobility. He would be able to retire early, and basically he would be well on his path to getting promoted. And basically he would be prepared and ready to, when the fifth column carried out its internal coup d'etat, its martial coup, they would be able to implant him and have him in charge of the institution. That's basically the point. Unfortunately for them, their plans backfire when, after spending a year infiltrating and living in this other country, he gets back in touch with his humanity. He starts to gain his empathy back and remember who he used to be before the being abducted. He falls in love with the people, and he ultimately cannot bring himself to follow through with the plan to eradicate the people there. And he betrays them at a pivotal moment during a key battle during the war called the Siege of Breivik's Rock. And as a result of his actions and the hubris of the Black Knights, because they're livid that he betrays them, they throw wave after wave of conscripts at Breivik's Rock. But because of how fortified their position is, they send wave after wave of conscripts just for them to get cut down and killed. And in the end, because they're hubris, because they don't retreat when they're at a disadvantageous position, like they're fighting a losing battle, but because of their hubris and because of their vindictiveness and of their cruelty and their desire to get revenge on Tiber here, they end up sending thousands of men to their deaths, and they end up losing the war in the end. And so Tiber goes rogue. He's now a wanted fugitive by one of the most powerful countries in the world. He leaves Bravagia. He leaves the country. And so the story is what happens in the aftermath of that siege. And the siege is going to be referenced numerous times. And I'm going to give you snippets and pieces of his past and breadcrumb trails, alluding to who he really is and what he really is. Because his newfound allies and friends do not know the full truth about him when they first meet him. But yeah, he's basically, at this stage, just sort of like a murder hobo at this point. He still has that ruthlessness in him that was like hard conditioned. So he's very cutthroat and vindictive. He's ready to give you a death sentence if you wrong him, but he's not without virtue. If you're good to him, he'll be good to you. He won't hurt you for no reason. He doesn't prey on innocent people. So that's pretty much a synopsis of the story. And that's what's going on. And that being said, I'm going to get to work on this panel. Man, I am way behind on comments. I think I'm good since graduating from trade school for HVAC. Thoughts on the Sudanese civil war? I know nothing of it. Whatever happened to your skits? I stopped doing them. Nah, you say he's definitely a racist. Yeah, no, he is. El Duce? Yeah. Lab-grown meat gets in the way of various traditions with meat consumption. Also, it's very dystopian to grow meat in a lab. I mean, I don't see it that way, but sure, I guess. Sneed, that's just meat company propaganda. We already grow meat in factories. Yeah, it's way more cost-effective and way more efficient. I mean, and hunting would not be sustainable. I'm sorry to say, but hunting is not a viable, sustainable alternative to factory farming, because if everyone hunted, then, oh shit, wrong layer. If everyone hunted, they would just hunt all the animals to extinction. I mean, just think of all the megafauna, all the giant-ass animals that are going extinct right now, like tigers, because of poachers and because of hunting. Like deers, I'm just saying, with the number of people there are on this planet, if everyone just switched to hunting, there would be less meat to go around, for one, and for two, we'd literally hunt all the wildlife to extinction. So it's just not sustainable, is all I'm trying to say. G. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm trying to say, G. Wrong layer. But yeah, I hope my story sounds compelling. There's going to be action, there's going to be romance, drama, horror. There's going to be a lot of literary devices. This is something I'm going to write over the span of about 25 years. So all I got to do is continue to work consistently, not fucking die in 25 years, and hopefully I'll have this done. All right, I'm going to get caught up on the chat. Let's see. I think it would be useful to put important plot points on a mental map for us to read. I mean, it's a work in progress. I mean, plot points, I'm going to have like, little lore snippets, and oh my god, my pen isn't, there we go. About to say, I was about to be very, very livid. You know what? Fuck you. Suck a dick. Fucking line art. I don't know what layer you're on, so I'm just gonna cover you. Fuck it. So yeah, no, but there's gonna be a very progressive message in here. The message, because think about it, the very theme of the story is about a highly diverse coalition of people coming together to overthrow an oppressive government, whom they all of them have been oppressed and wronged by this regime in one way or another. They all have. They are all victims of the oppression of this regime, and so they're coming together to fight against it. And so it's going to be a protracted story that's going to take many years to write and finish, but it'll be worth it in the end. It'll be worth it in the end. Motion lines. Where the fuck is my... So yeah, it's definitely going to be a power fantasy type story. Like, I mean, just saying, you don't get a body like this unless you're like strong as shit and like freakishly athletic, and that's the whole point. He doesn't really have any like special superpowers. His main ability is being fucking a world-class fighter and master swordsman, as well as being like a master tactician because he's led men into battle. He was the leader of a gang when he was a teenager. So basically, that's the main thing. And he's the de facto leader of the group, the Dark Horseman, so to speak. But yeah, that's like the message of the story. It's about a highly diverse coalition of people coming together to overthrow an oppressive government. That's the gist of the story. Tiber's living in a bad timeline too. Yeah, it's dystopian. I haven't drawn the scars on him, but he's got a shit ton of battle scars. And I've done I'll show you some other concept art I have, but yeah, no, my plan is to make him a very compelling character. He's going to be a very compelling character, who has been lived through a shit ton of trauma. PTSD is a common thing. Mental illness is something that I plan on exploring a lot in this story. Like, and it's not. I play it off as a joke a little bit here and there. I do use it as comic relief at times. Let me adjust my mic. But it's actually an issue I take seriously. Like the mental health problems because every character has like mental health issues. They all do. They have varying degrees and forms of derangements. Tiber's PTSD, and he's also kind of a ruthless homicidal maniac. He makes a friend, however, who balances out his ruthlessness and contrasts his ruthlessness very early on. I'm not gonna get too deep into it. Well, fuck it. Who am I kidding? I'll get deep into it, but let me just erase this. Once I have a website done, I will link it with you guys. Like once I have like the first few chapters done, as you can tell, I'm still learning how to draw this, and I have to expedite. I got to find ways to expedite the process, but yeah. God damn it. Get some motion lines in here. This is a little trick I learned from anime and manga. These motion lines are a great way to signify to the reader that there is movement going on. And then what I'll do is I'll throw in a few black lines as well, just to contrast with the white lines, contrast with the other colors. I want this to be a colorful story, And I copy and pasted part of his face from the aforementioned concept art just because, like, I was trying to draw his eyes and I was getting fed up with failing, so I just fucking went copy and pasta. Alright, now to get some shading going. But anywho, my inspirations are diverse, but fun fact, the US was sterilized of so much fauna during the Depression. On for a long ride, huh? Oh yeah. It's gonna be very long story, but fun fact, US sterilized because humans couldn't afford to eat, so they thought, okay, we'll hunt. And we learned why humanity built massive agrarian systems over the years. Yeah, hunting is simply not efficient. It's not efficient. Like, there's like no fucking way you're gonna be able to feed like 8 billion mouths off of a traditional Stone Age way of life. It's not gonna happen. Like, I'm sorry to say, it's not really like I don't really like that. I need to. Am I getting a phone call? Or am I just tripping? Sorry guys, I'm tripping. Capitalism versus 1.5 million years of human infrastructure and technology growth. His main ability is being Mega Chad. I mean, kinda, yeah. His main ability is his resolve and his resilience. The mental fortitude and the toughness and the grit possessed by him is on a level above and beyond the average human that it's difficult to describe. Like, he is insanely tough. Insanely tough, fast, vicious. Not without humanity, however. Colorize mask. We'll do this layer instead. That's better. Ah, shit. But yeah, no, it's set in a fantasy setting. I've always been a big fan of like high fantasy in general, and I'm gonna definitely be cracking in the fantasy tropes. Where the fuck is the? I need. Here we go. All foreground, not foreground. Fuck, I have too many layers. I'm gonna start merging shit here in a minute, but anyways. So yeah. He's the main character, but there are others as well. The friend he makes contrasts his personality in the sense that he is a background panel layer, colorize. Fuck it. That's better. But his name is Saint Bartholomew Davis, venerated by a church of pagans because of his good deeds. He is a scientist who is relentlessly hunted by the divorce court as well as the church, because there is a church and religion is a theme that I play around with. Basically, he got fucked over at his previous job as a university professor because of the church, and he also was about to be burned at the stake. Like, literally in the first chapter, the opening chapter of this comic, he's about to be burned alive. And were it not for Tiber's intervention, he would have been burned alive. But he steps in, he intervenes, saves him from being publicly executed in a brutal way. And afterwards, they get acquainted, and Davis tells him about a situation or a crisis that's going on in the place he lives, basically this town nearby. And initially, Tiber wants none of it. He wants nothing to do with it. However, after checking his pocketbook and realizing that he's dirt broke, he screams to the heavens. He says, "God damn it," and he reluctantly agrees to help. For a price, of course. So, chapter 1 is going to revolve around solving this mystery, resolving this crisis, and figuring out what is causing these attacks and why. I remember writing a Warhammer 40k fanfic about Tau Space Marine. It was cringe, but I enjoyed writing. Yeah, writing's fun, dude. Like, the only limit is your imagination. Unfortunately for me, I picked a medium in which it's going to take a zillion fucking years to finish and publish. But I'm sure once I get some infrastructure, you know, once I get some infrastructure down, I'll be able to produce these a lot faster. Man, that ear is ugly as shit. Let's fix that ear. Let's fix these damn ears. Now, 40k is definitely an influence for me, as is like a few other things. Like Game of Thrones is a minor influence, but this isn't based on Game of Thrones. And the message I'm trying to convey is actually, I'm trying to have hope for humanity. I'm trying to convey a message that's like more optimistic than anything else, because in the end, the revolutionaries do win. Like the Dark Horsemen win in the end. And they do succeed in overthrowing the ancient regime. But it takes a long time. Anywho, let's go. Fucking there. Almost getting burned alive at the stake. What a severance package. Not the best of employment experience. Literally me, for real, for real. Did you find work with your degree? No. No. Well, I did land one job. It was this place called Saffron. I was there for like all of 2 months. Then I got let go from that place. Worked a contract, but I'll admit that it was kind of my mistake. I had a bad habit of leaving early because they didn't give a shit if I left early. And so that fucked me over. I should have stuck around basically. And that's the reason why I got let go from there. But my degree actually did get my foot through the door. Like, I actually did get my foot through the door with that degree, you know? All right, that looks good. Now I just need to find a way to blend it all together. Well, here, let me do his hair real quick. I need dark brown. No, fuck this. The public doesn't care, the capitalists do. They don't care about what? I'm sick of this species bullshit. More proof people suck. I mean, the system definitely has a habit of bringing the worst out of people. But I wouldn't say, like, there's no hope whatsoever. Like, I wouldn't say that, there's no hope, because people have risen to the occasion numerous times throughout history whenever there's been, like, a major world-changing moment. Like, I mean, the October Revolution is a testament to the fact that, like, it's possible, you know? Revolutions can and do happen all the time. It is possible to accomplish, but there's a historical precedent that needs to be set effectively. Like, there has to be historical precedent for it, and I wouldn't hold out for America to have a revolution anytime soon, but I also wouldn't say that it couldn't happen. It could most certainly happen, you know? But it's probably going to be a while, just because the United States is pretty indoctrinated in general. Like, people here, like, are passively accepting of their fate way too much. Like, people in this country have become so accustomed to the bullshit, even though it's unbearable and it's not good. They've just become so accustomed to everything being expensive as hell, everything costing a fortune, everything, like, people are just accustomed to it. They're accustomed to the exploitation, like, and it's pretty sad because things don't have to be this way, you know? And it's kind of funny too, like, even a lot of, like, right-leaning people, like working people that are right-leaning, it's just funny because even they get it. Like, every time I have a conversation with, like, an old boomer, about about socialism, they're like vehemently against like, oh, that's Russia, China, dictatorship, yada yada. But then you go on to describe the core tenets of it, like, talk about like free healthcare, workers' control, and you don't use the word socialism or communism. Suddenly they're just like, I don't like that. That actually sounds like a good idea, you know? Like it actually sounds appealing, and it makes sense that it sounds appealing because it's literally their class interest. It's like right-wing working Americans, you describe socialism but you don't use the word, and they're going to agree with you. They're going to agree with it. So don't anybody think, don't fool yourselves into thinking that it can't be done or that it can't happen. Like, I'm pretty sure there were plenty of reactionary peasants that supported the October Revolution in Russia. So you can get right wing people or right leaning people on your side, at the very least, to accomplish goals in the short term. Yeah, but my slop reactionary YouTuber told me nothing ever happens. Things are happening all the time. Things are happening constantly, bro. Like class struggles all around us. You just have to look in the right places. You just got to look in the right places for it. Otherwise, yeah, it's happening all the time. But yeah, man, I can't think of a lot of like stories where the main character has a beard. There aren't really a lot of bearded protagonists out there. I think people are super accustomed to like main characters like being clean shaven or whatever, or like you know, being like super young, like especially in like an action adventure fantasy type stories. Like the characters are usually very young, like 18 to 20 years old. Like they're usually like sometimes a lot of times if it's like, manga, protag usually has spiky hair. Um and I feel like we've become very accustomed to characters looking a very specific way to the point to where I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do something a little different. My protagonist is gonna have a beard, and I'm gonna make him look as grizzled as possible. Because that's the whole point. Is he's a grizzled war veteran who's plagued with plagued with shame, guilt, and shell shock trauma. Capitalism can make us feel anything. Do you think you'll ever go back to school? Um, I've thought about it. Um, the thought does cross my mind. I won't lie, but I mean, I don't know what I'd go to school for. Like, what am I gonna do? Go to art school and learn how to do something I'm literally like getting better at by the day right now? Like, I already like I'm already knowing how to learn how to do this. I don't need to spend like, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, my question is like, where am I going to get the money for it? I was like, school is so much more expensive than it was like a few years ago, like back when I was in college, back in like the mid 2010s. And it commands so much money now. Like, I don't even know what I'd be going to school for. I mean, I've thought about becoming like a history teacher or professor, but not even teachers are getting good money anymore. Like, teachers get fucked over so badly, dude. Like schools, and I know this because one of my family members is a teacher, and they struggle to keep their job, keep work. So, like, I mean, the answer is yes. I've thought about it. I just don't know what I would go back to school for. But the thought does cross my mind. If I did go back, I'd probably like, I don't know, become like a teacher or something. I've thought about it, like just becoming a professor. Yeah, you gotta go. Paint layer. Mm. all foreground. That's what I want. You, and you. Just so I can erase this here yonder. You know, even out that jawline a bit. Now, back to hair. Hair 2. Do a little trimming. I said do a little trimming. What the actual fuck? Oh, here we go. This is great for you guys too, because you can learn what not to do, like having a million disorganized layers. I mean, I'm going to start merging shit together here in a minute, but yeah, moral of the story is make sure that you keep your layers organized. Do not be messy like me. I am a living wreck when it comes to that shit. Also, I'm drawing his mustache next. Back to hair 1. What's a good color? Keep that brown going. But yeah, I don't expect my graphic novel series to take off randomly. I don't really think it will. I'm pretty much writing this with the intention of like doing it for my own pleasure and satisfaction, and kind of expecting it to not really like I fully anticipate a situation where you know, it takes off like I like it takes off like literally right after I die. And so like all the benefits of it go to my next of kin, and my family gets rich as fuck. And then it gets like a movie adaptation or a series adaptation on Netflix. Like, so at least my family will be set. All right, now let's darken that in a bit and add some highlights. But remember, guys, it's all in the layers. It's all in the layers. See? And it even looks more realistic, too. Now I just need to fix this, and I'll be one panel sooner with finishing this page. It's about to happen. I'm so excited. I'm about to finish this page. Oh my god. Oh my god, I'm actually gonna get it done. Oh shit. I didn't mean to do that. All right. Now let's get some blending going. Not that. But I'm actually going to get it done. I'm so hyped. Oh my god. There's light at the end of this tunnel. Guys, you don't understand. It took me forever to do this. It like took me so long to get this done. You will not believe how long it has taken me to fucking finish this page. Like, I'm not even joking, man. Yeah, get some good shading done. That's a fine looking nose. And that was on accident. I didn't even mean to make that nose fucking that good looking. God damn, that's a good looking nose. Now, let's get back to shading. What the fuck has just happened? Gotta make sure. I think I got some shit messed up. Colorize mask, shading. Oh no, it's fine. But yeah, do you sketch everything out, polish every pages later, or do you just do page by page? Well, I haven't sketched any of the other pages out yet. I am pretty much doing it page by page right now. I'm happy to say that there's been exponential growth in like my work pace, and as well as like the quality. Like I'm telling you right now, the first couple pages looks like trash, but I'm actually kind of satisfied with the way things turned out here. blend that a little better. But yeah, dude, it took me forever to learn how to actually draw. Like I've gotten a lot better at this over the last few, month, because I started out on paper. I didn't go digital until like about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. There we go. That's nice and blended. Now all I need to do is let's give his eyes a little reflection. There's a little reflection in his eyes. Much better. Yeah, now that's money. That's money. Yeah. That is money. All right. Now let's add the other details. Like the arrow in his back. Haven't forgotten about that. No, the other details, like the fucking claw marks. But yeah, the only limit is your imagination, man. You can make whatever you want. Unfortunately, I'm in a position where I have the leisure time to work on this, So I'm making hay while the sun is still shining, if you will. Making hay while the sun is still shining. He gets cut open pretty badly. By some claws. Little doggy claws. But yeah, that works. And now I'm going to add more shading. Woo! That's a good, nice color. Get this colorized mask. Erase that. But yeah, like I said at the beginning, I have no intention of quitting YouTube anytime soon. I'm still going to produce videos, but for now, I'm just kind of working on shit that is less taxing and more therapeutic, like this. Like, it's honestly like the noise of the world and the bullshit can get to me sometimes, and I know it gets to you guys too. It gets to everyone. So I think having like something else to do besides worry about the world's problems is very important and very healthy, you know? So, once I have something worth portraying, I'll portray. That looks like ass. Tell you what, though, drawing straight lines is a challenge. I'm not gonna lie. Like, drawing straight lines is probably the most difficult thing about doing all this. It's not even the coloring for me. Like, the coloring is easy. Um, Shading, coloring to give shit depth is not particularly hard. Having said that, it's just kind of meticulous. But yeah. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, it looks good. I think I'll leave it at that, actually. Oh, fuck, that's right, arrow. But no matter what, don't let the noise get to you. Imagine how painful it would be to have an arrow in your fucking shoulder. Fuck, I drew it on the wrong layer. Oh well. That's okay. That's okay. I'll just do this. And then fix this arrow because it looks like piss. He says relaxing while drawing a page about a man in the world day of his life. The worst day of his life? Oh, this isn't the worst day of his life. The worst day of his life was actually not this. So I don't want to give away any spoilers, but let's just say that like he gets tricked into doing something evil. Um, he gets tricked into doing something very evil, or a bunch of evil things, and or like tricked and manipulated. Like, I will spoil one thing. So after he got sold out by his own gang, um, he returns basically with a hunting party, uh, with full condolences and blessings by the Black Order, and kills the entire gang. Basically, he's pushed into doing it by his handler. When he joins the Black Order, he has a handler by the name of Astrid, and she is the one who is like directly like pretty much directly grooms and manipulates him into doing half the fucked up things he ends up doing, and giving him quality assurance the whole way, so that whenever he doubts whenever he doubts himself at his lowest points, when he feels guilty or shame, and whenever he's doing something wrong or something bad, she's the devil on his shoulder, actively encouraging him, gassing him up, and you know and actively behind him. And as a matter of fact, they get married. He has sex and gets married to his handler, and but that comes later. That comes later. So she's with the hunting party, and she's actively trying to hunt him down. So basically, the Order has plans to either bring him in dead or alive, but they want him alive. Their plan is to return him to the Black Keep so that they can try to basically appeal to reason, try to get him to see reason. Mainly, it's Astrid is the one, as well as one of his former lieutenants, like one of his former superiors, who are basically trying to get him back. And they fail. Like, they do capture him and take him to the Black Keep, but they end up failing in trying to basically brainwash him, because they try to brainwash him into returning to the Black Order, but it fails. He ends up getting rescued by his friends. Like, they end up coming together and rescuing him from captivity. But again, that comes later in the story. But yeah, he's a war criminal. It's a story about a war criminal on a revenge quest, effectively. He's kind of a mass murderer, ruthless, relentless. But the thing is that he's self-aware. Like, what's going to make him so compelling, at least for me, is that he is self-aware. He knows this about himself. And one big point that I'm going to make later on is that Tybur does not like himself. He does not like the person that he is. And it's going to be demonstrated in a good number of his actions. Let me color this hair in. What do we got here? Lysergiro's new book on Western Marxism is great. You should check it out. Yeah. Hit me. Send it to me over Discord. No, this is not the worst day of his life. He's just having a nightmare right now. It's a nightmare of the worst day of his life. But the truth is, the worst day of his life was the day that he realized that, he had a close family member, that he basically accidentally kills a family member, or he's tricked into doing it. That is the worst day of his life. And that's really when the self-hatred begins to set in. But no, he's had a lot of horrible days. He had everything, lost everything, had everything again, lost everything again, only to find new camaraderie and comradeship with new friends and a new group. And it's going to be good, because there's going to be a lot of contrasting personalities. I cannot wait to introduce my favorite character. Well, one of my favorite characters. I cannot wait to introduce Gemini. Gemini is one of the main characters, but he's not going to be introduced for like the first few volumes. When he does get introduced, he has a antagonistic relationship with the group, but he ends up switching sides and joining them in the end, after after something pretty big happens. Like, he starts off as an enemy, but he becomes an ally later on. So basically, Gemini he's part of a pirate crew. Not by choice. He gets captured, sold into slavery off the streets, and joins this pirate group. Well, he's bought by them, but he's about to be sold to these fucking these Middle Eastern looking sultans so that they can do sexy, rapey, molesty shit to him. But the pirate captain buys him, so that doesn't happen. So Gemini is he's a queer cross-dressing fairy pirate of a thing. And he had a whole life set out for him that also was destroyed by the system. So he grew up in a civilization that was deeply homophobic. And basically, he and his boyfriend, well, what happened is one day his parents caught him in the act, so to speak. They walked in to find their son-in-law, well, their son, getting, bent over a bed, getting fucked by their son-in-law. Their actual son getting fucked by their son-in-law. Yeah, so they walk into that site, and then what happens next is his boyfriend commits suicide, and he gets sent to a psych ward where he is abused, and basically they try to quote-unquote cure him. But all that happens is he gets tortured, abused, and experimented on, only for him to eventually break out. And so he's living on the streets now. He's a street rat, with a variety of hustles and grifts going just to survive, from larceny to, various forms of petty chicanery, con artists, running cons, hack jobs, robbing stores, prostituting himself, really doing anything to survive. He's just a miscreant street rat now. And that's when he's dressed in drag, in this red light district one night, and a group of slavers capture him, and he's sold into slavery, and then only to eventually break away and join the main group. He is a master of disguise. He is a highly versatile, highly versatile individual with a various set of skills and various set of skills and abilities. Like, he's a fencing ace, credit to his ex-boyfriend who committed suicide. He can, was president of the ventriloquist club back in grade school, so he can has an incredible range. He can mimic a variety of voices and put on a variety of acts and basically mimic the personality and appearance of individuals convincingly. And he ends up being like their spy / thief / burglar / disguise master character. Ah, fuck. But yeah, he's very effeminate. He's got long blonde hair. He's very skinny. Like, physique-wise, he's the exact reverse opposite of Tiber. He's not physically imposing at all. Like, he's not really, like, well-muscled at all. He's just a really skinny, effeminate-looking twink, pretty much. But he has a variety of... he serves a very important purpose in the group, and he ends up going on to be one of the most important characters, and a really important supporting character, basically. But yeah, I'm gonna have fun introducing him. So yeah, I don't really have much more to talk about, to be honest. I'm just doing my thing. As a matter of fact, I'm probably gonna close the stream here in a minute, as soon as I'm done coloring this hair in. Or you know what? Can I finish the product? Can I finish this product? You know what? Yeah, let's do that. Let's finish the product. Fuck it. Let's get the final product going first. Fuck, I did it again. Fuck it. I'm not drawing goddamn hair on a different layer. Fuck it. We'll just do this. But yeah, no, the whole point of Gemini is that he's an analogy to the way that queer people are treated in real life. You know, his sexual preferences are treated as a mental illness, even though he was once an upstanding member of the community. Like he was doing everything, accomplishing everything his family ever set out for him to accomplish, only for his life to get thrown away and for him to get cast to the side just because he's gay. And that's like the tragedy of it. And with his boyfriend Melvin, the reason why he kills himself is because he gets totally disowned. Like there's not even a psych ward for him to be sent to. His father literally disowns him, and he, up to that point, his whole life's purpose was centered around making his father happy and making his father proud, with little to no concern for his own desires. And he just figured, if I just do everything my dad wants, I'll have his love and approval, and I'll be happy. There was an arranged marriage between Gemini's sister and Melvin. His real name's Joel, but he goes by Gemini because that's what that's the name he picked up on the streets. While he was living on the streets, he was just a vagrant. He was homeless, living in like condemned derelict housing and shit. He got actively turned away from homeless shelters because they knew he was queer just by looking at him. Just the way he presents, it's pretty obvious that has a preference for dudes, and he's treated like a complete outcast by like civilized society, and it makes him completely jaded and pretty much permanently solidifies his status as a rogue. And that's my commentary on homophobia, more or less, because that shit happens in real time. Like, I literally have met like trans people and queer people who have been thrown out and disowned by their families, getting turned away from homeless shelters. It's really fucking cruel, dude. Like, people don't realize, like, I mean, yeah, it's more socially accepted now, a lot more socially accepted, but it still happens like a lot. Like, it's not that uncommon. This is some nice ass hair, if I do say so myself. Let's make it darker. And then here in a second, I'm going to do his highlights. We'll call it a day. But yeah, no. Queer people get treated like shit. And that's kind of the whole point of that character existing. And I'm going to love it when people accuse my work of being woke. I'm looking forward to that day, because my shit is going to be woke as fuck. But woke is in like the political commentary is like, I'm not just going to like feature like oppressed minorities for no reason. There's actually going to be larger purpose and social commentary that I'm trying to facilitate. Let's do that ear. Actually, yeah. Let's do this ear. Let's put some color on that motherfucking scar. Shit, wrong layer. That's better. Get some color on that damn scar. Get some color in those eyes while we're at it. Do it. Let's go. Get that mustache in that hair. Get the product. Embrace the woke mind virus. That's the plan. I mean, personally, I want to have variety in my story anyways. I want to have a variety of characters. Like, so yeah, we have the grizzled war veteran in Tiber. And then you have Bartholomew Davis, he's like a doctor / scientist. He's the healer and he's the moral compass of the group. He's like the one character that keeps Tiber in check when he's being a little too ruthless to people and cold. And he's the one who holds him accountable and has genuine concern for his mental health, because he's like the first person to notice that there is something deeply wrong with this man. Yeah, let's get some highlights in there while we're at it. Like, he even makes a comment, like, why do you feel like everything is a death sentence? Like, why does death have to be the first thing that comes to your mind whenever someone wrongs you for damn near everything, basically. And he confronts them about it. But yeah, no, he's also the healer because the group gets fucked up badly a lot, and he's the guy who patches them up and gets them back together. He has access to resources and medical knowledge and science that is not widely available in this setting. So he's very ahead of the curve. He's sort of like an Einstein type figure. There we go. Now I got some highlights. Let's get some highlights over here real quick. Oh fuck, I forgot the color in the teeth too. It's all right. Just get some highlights right here. And then embrace the woke mind virus. I think it might be political. It has brown people. Does the world only have human? No, there are only humans in this setting. I do have stand-ins for fantasy races, but for certain, I do have certain stand-ins, for certain characters, but otherwise everyone's human. It's high fantasy, but it's high fantasy in which, yeah, everyone's human. That being said, it's still high fantasy. Oh fuck. But yeah, man. I'm a big believer in diversity. I actually like diversity. I like when there's a variety of people from all walks of life in a story. So let me just do this. Almost there. We're almost there, guys. I promise. Yeah. Much better. Hold on. Yeah. There we go. I mean, all that's left from here is just polishing off now. All right, take it easy. All right, you know what? Yeah, let's just get some shading in, and then we'll be straight. We'll be very straight after this. I ain't gonna do much for the shading on this panel. I'm just gonna get a nice bronze color going. There we go. Bada boom. Whoops. Almost there. Almost there. Like I said, I'm not going to do much shading for this panel. I don't really feel like it. I've already been on here like 4 or 5 hours, so. And I got to hurry up and get this done before my ADD medication wears off. Yeah. I'm so excited. It's almost done. It's almost done. Yeah. Woo. It's almost done. Darken his complexion a bit, and yeah, there we go. Now, last thing I need to do is remember the goddamn teeth, and we'll be straight. We're almost done. I promise. And then I can start merging layers together. Yeah, it's done. There we go. Nice pearly whites. Nice pearly whites. Fix the shading a bit because it doesn't look... I mean, it doesn't look bad from a distance, but yeah, there we go. All right, we're done. We got it. Okay. Now all that's left to do now is, well, am I going to do anything for that? Yeah, fuck it, I'll do it later. I'm done. But yeah, let's go through the whole scene together, guys. Let's go through the whole scene together. So, in the nightmare, his former co-workers are hunting him down within the recesses of his own mind. As you can see, he's running for his life. The reason why he's only got shorts on is because that's what he went to bed with. That's what he was wearing when he went to sleep that night, and so that's all he's wearing in the dream. It's just a subconscious, but yeah, no. They hurl a fucking fireball at him, and They're shooting crossbow bolts and arrows at him, and that is when he gets shot in the shoulder and shot in the ass. He proceeds to pull the arrow out from his ass cheek like a G, while Dougie here is about to lunge for him. And then, he, as quickly as possible, he stabs the Dougie, grabs the Dougie, throws the Dougie, and gets back to running for his life. Voila! Voila! Model Roman legionary got shot in the ass. Yeah. Now I'm going to save that, and that's it. Ugh. All right, guys. It's been real. I hope you all had fun watching this. I plan on streaming again sometime soon. Maybe next week. But yeah. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I am gonna skedaddle, hop off, go to do something else for a little bit. See if I can find a job. But I hope this has been fun. Take it easy.